Next, Board Member Belknap, you're the chair of, what's next on my list here? Finance. Okay.
I just want to go to.
Let me turn your mic on. I have too much paper here. I'm trying to catch up. Okay, there you go.
Thank you. On 11.3, I just wanted to say thank you to Lorraine for adding this, the acronyms to our files, so thank you on that. And then on 11.6, the committee voted unanimously to approve R 277-720, Draft 1, on first reading. So the motion to the board is that the committee moves that the board approve R 277-720, Draft 1, on second and final reading.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board approve R 277-720, Draft 1, on second and final reading. Discussions to the motion. Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Voting is unanimous. Was there something on 601? I can't.
No, it was on consent.
Okay, good. Thank you.
We placed two of
All
those
right.
on consent, so I just went over them.
Thank you.
All right, 11.7, and I should have told the title before. 11.7, the Adobe Digital Literacy Initiative. Representative Waldrop, Chris Blake, and Alex Chafia and staff presented the opportunity for the committee about the Adobe. You've also had this same presentation in up on the Hill in a legislative meeting. The committee actually, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you, but the committee directed USBE IT director to work with Adobe to answer several questions that we had, which were some of these, but not limited to these. Does the Creative Cloud offer cloud storage for student projects? If so, how can parents and educator monitor student activities? Who has access to the student project files? And what types of controls are available to protect students? You've seen some of these answers on this. They are in your backup, and you've also seen them in a legislative piece. So now, 11.8, public education funding study. It is, staff suggested that committee consider developing a scope of work for a study on Utah's education funding formulas and finance system. The original study in 1972 led to the creation of the WPU and the Minimum Basic School Program. Another study occurred in 1990, which led to the additional recommendations and changes, but there hasn't been a comprehensive study since 1990. There are pieces in here that we would like to look at. I think it'll be interesting where they've taken 441, the bill, and they're going to put that in interim. It might be interesting to incorporate this. It will come back to the group here as an RFP process for our approval of that process. And the committee voted unanimously to approve that the USBE staff develop a scope of work for a study of Utah's finance system. The motion to the board, the committee moves that the board authorize USBE staff to develop a scope of work to study Utah's finance system. There is another piece there that asks for funding. We don't need that funding, so I've just removed that.
Okay, the motion before the board is that the board authorize USBE staff to develop a scope of work to study Utah's school finance system and also seek funding from the legislature to fund the study.
Which we don't need that.
Which we don't need now. So let me restate that then.
It ends after finance
Okay, yeah.
system.
So the motion is that the board authorize USBE staff to develop a scope of work to study Utah school finance system. Discussion to the, discussion to the motion. Board member Lisa Cummins.
Thank you, Chair. Kudos to the staff that wants to take this on. I just wanted to make a correction, though. Apparently, there will be a special session to bring back the HB 441.
Was it a special session?
In the spring.
Okay.
Okay, Vice Chair Brittany Cummins, you're going to speak to the motion?
Yes.
Okay.
I just have a question of clarification because the motion states finance system, which can be taken to mean, the systems that we use in order to track the finances. But I'm guessing that the motion is implying that the mechanism of funding or the amounts that we fund? Is that the scope of work that we're looking at, not just at the system we use to track funding?
Yeah,
Am I-
it is, and actually, if you look over on page 3, just some of the initial questions that are on here would lead you to assume that that's what we're going to look for.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't know how else to state.
And if I might, for clarity on this too, it's, the staff would be the best to develop that scope of work, and then that scope of work will come back to us and we'll modify, and we could add to that, but it's time to get it done, and that was the intent of the discussion and the motion for the full board. I'll restate the motion before the board is that the board authorize USBE staff to develop a scope of work to study Utah's school finance system. Any other discussion? Seeing none, let's vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Voting is unanimous.
Thank you, Chair. That ends my report.
Thank you.